education has utterly failed in diaspora in certain ways because we have instrumentalized Israel to be used for our own identities and not actually dealt with Israel as itself, as it is, as a real place, as a real political, animal, as opposed to some kind of spiritual Disneyland that we just sort of consume and suck up. It's a real place. It's a real country with real issues, real social issues. And I don't think that most diaspora Jews relate to Israel on those terms and therefore misunderstand the entire Zionist project and what it means to be a lover of Israel.
Why do you think that's the case? Or why do you feel that you've got that perspective?
Well, at least from the American perspective, Israel has been instrumentalized to support Jewish identity to stem the tide of intermarriage. There was a 1990 population study of American Jews that at that point was a 50% intermarriage rate. People freaked out. And what they did, what was created in America after that study was birthright and the foundation for Jewish camping. Because what it revealed is that the kids who go to Jewish camp and go to Israel at a particularly young formative age create higher likelihood of Jewish identity and therefore less intermarriage. That's not about Israel at all. That's about American Jewish identity. We think it's about Israel, but it isn't. We're just using Israel as the tool to strengthen, and not to say that it can't be that. I think it can be that, but it's not really about considering Israel as a real live living country with its own issues. It's just about what Israel can do for us.
And what you can do for Israel as well.
I don't think that has been the predominant way that American Jews in the past 4 to 5 decades have interacted with Israel. It used to be that when you were a Zionist, you moved to Israel. Then it was if you were a Zionist, you gave money to Israel. Right? Now it's a Zionist, you go and have spiritual heritage tours and get filled up and say, oh, Israel is this amazing, wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, either way, though, it's actually...
people don't interact with real... And people don't interact with real Israelis. It's all fantasy land.
Yeah, look, I mean, that's your experience. Got it. Okay. I think either way that, regardless of whether you go there for a holiday, whether you go there to live, whether you send money over there, whether you donate, whether you're proactive, in some way, shape or form towards, your community, that's, your way of being able to give. That's your way of actually having input. That's all. And when you're doing that, you are showing support for an entity and a structure such that it keeps on growing. And growth, that's what it's about.
I'm not eliminating that. I'm not poo-pooing that. I'm simply putting it in what I see as the sociological reality of American Jews, okay? I've also lived in Israel for many years, okay? And one of the things that you learn about when you're actually living there, not just being a tourist, is the deep, real issues that Israel has, just like any other country, right? In some ways, Israel is trying to have it both ways, right? To be a country just like all other countries, and to be some kind of unique kind of country on the landscape, because Jewish and democratic is a particular interesting enterprise to try to achieve. And so there are those who have said, Ehud Barak famously said, right, at a certain point, Israel's going to have to decide whether it wants to be Jewish or whether it wants to be democratic.
Yeah,
I think that's a real tension that's alive today.
I'm not going to disagree with you, and I think that the premise, right, and the foundation of Israel from 1948 in the form that it's actually taken, the identity is something that has been problematic for people within Israel, for that matter. And that is that it's tried to be able to be two things. Number one, a home for Jewish people. Number two, a Jewish state. And they might sound like they're the same, but they're not, and you know that.
I'm not saying they're the same.
It's very difficult. No, we're agreeing we're agreeing upon that. And that is, a core of the problem of the identity that's in there, and also the struggle politically that's inside. If there was a unified understanding of what it is and an agreement, by multiple parties, then there wouldn't be, the division that exists in there. But I think the division's actually good because it sort of pushes the relevance of what it is to be in Israel and what Israel is.
I hear you. I back to the original question. I don't find it useful to define Zionism outside of its political ideology because I think it whitewashes the real it whitewashes away the statecraft part, and that's the important part about Zionism.
Okay, and I feel that it's important to be able to highlight that political Zionism is just first of all, the word Zionism is something that's very new. And the word's description of political Zionism is just an extension of what Zionism has been for close to 2,000 years, which has just been simply the yearning and the desire of Jewish people to be able to return back to their native and indigenous homeland and to be able to self-determine, regardless of whether it's democracy as we know it at this point in time, but as long as it aligns with the tribal values and hence the laws and bylaws that exist as a result of that.
The long-standing desire to return never included self-determination. That's a mistake you're making.
If you could point out where I'm making the mistake, then great. But
show me one primary text from before political Zionism arrived on the scene that talked about the returning and self-determination. Show me that. I'm not aware of any.
Can you prove that I'm wrong?
You made the claim.
This is true. I think this is basically a claim that I'm not making, but I'm actually echoing through organisations, that help to identify and represent us, that mainly agree with this type of definition of what Israel is, and self-determination is a part of it. But that may be, and in all fairness, a construct, in part from political Zionism, but I doubt it.
Okay, I disagree on your view of the history.
All right.
I had a very good. Look, I understand what you're saying. I think in the attempt to simplify it, right? I think you wipe away some of the essential aspects of what Zionism is to the detriment of the Zionist project.
I think you're actually, what your perspective is actually whitewashes what has been an urge for a population to be able to return back to their indigenous homeland.
No, you've not heard me. I do not minimize that, and I do not eliminate that. No, you've not heard me. All I'm saying is that's not Zionism. I choose to not call that move and that desire Zionism. We don't disagree that that's important, vitally important. We just want to call it different names. We're having a semantic difference now and a labeling difference. You want to call that Zionism? That's fine. I think it does. I think it does a disservice to the Zionist project.
Well, I mean, you put a word out there, okay, and people will grab a meaning to it. And for that matter, if you find that whatever it is, 95 or close to 100% of people from that group choose to be able to define it as what it is, okay, then there's agreement by consensus to, that's what it is. And what I'm pointing out to you is that, there is a vast, the overwhelmingly vast percentage of people who identify as being Jews and Zionists see that as being the definition. Your choice to be able to not call it, to be able to label it in a different way is your choice. But my point is that it actually walks into this framework that other people are trying to create to be able to demonize Zionism and to be able to try and redefine it in a way that doesn't include the historical context that Jews have actually been through and their desire to be able to return back. And I know that you're going to say that and reiterate that yes, you've got a different word for that, but there are reasons why every single synagogue around the world points in the direction of Israel and Jerusalem.
which has nothing to do with Zionism. Which has nothing to do with Zionism. That's a religious matter. That has nothing to do with the political ideology. That has nothing to do with the ideology of setting up a Jewish and a democratic state. That's about internal Jewish imagination and yearning about returning to our land. Full stop.
Okay, well, we can agree to disagree. I'm happy to continue this, but if anybody else wants to be able to chime into this, I'm more than happy to entertain that as well. Well, Deed, you certainly have got a lot to be able to say in the chat. Maybe you'd like to be able to voice your opinion. I'm sure that's going to be really interesting, Deed.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, what I'm trying to say, I'm totally objective for this topic because I'm not against Israel or I'm not anti-Semitic. I have a good knowledge about politics because of my studying. I will say what you are asking about the Zionism, I will say it's a new terminology, right? We have to be agree this. This is a new terminology from 18th century, I will say. And I can also give a name, but it doesn't matter now how it started with this etymology, Zionism, why we didn't use it 1,000 years ago or 500 years ago.
Yeah, look, okay, let's start off by this, okay? I will agree, from what I've learned, that the word Zionism is something that is relatively new. As I was saying to Caleb just before, anti-Semitism is a word that also is very new. And there are lots of new words, but it doesn't mean that the essence of the word and the practice of the word hasn't been utilised or isn't relevant to history in the slightest. I.e., anti-Semitism has been around for many centuries. Okay, Zionism has also been around for many centuries as well, close to 2,000 years. But go on.
Exactly, but it is very important if you want to use Zionism as a religion.
But Zionism is not a religion, so or
exactly.
Is that what
Yes, I know. But
yeah.
if I am against Zionism as an ideology, I am not actually against Jewish state. But I will say, at the beginning, this ideology, Zionism, was very legitimate. Because
sorry, it was very.
Wait.
I didn't hear the word you said. I'm just asking.
Okay.
Repeat yourself.
I mean, at the beginning, yes, it was a legitimate ideology to have a Jewish state, to bring the all Jewish again together. I understand this.
What are you saying is what's legitimate? I'm not following it.
The wish to make the Israeli people, to give them Israeli people a state again, to bring them together from the whole world, from Europe. It's a legitimate thinking, right? I will say nothing against this. But
the word it's in the hang on. Dave, sorry to interrupt. The reason I'm interrupting is I don't understand what the word legitimate actually means. It doesn't mean anything to me.
Legitimate. He's trying to say legitimate.
Okay,
sorry,
got it.
I'm sorry, legitimate.
No, it's exactly. Okay. That's right. I'm trying to clarify.
But I will say during the time how it's happened and what's happening now, for me, it's a political Zionism, and it's just like political Islam, just like political any right ideology. It's changed.
But what if
so
the people?
I'm sure you are not.
People?
I'm sure you are not against Islam, but you are maybe against political Islam. It's just like the situation, same situation right now. And I will say, we have to think about it. Yes, we could have anywhere in the world a Jewish state. Anywhere, like maybe
Why?
in Why not? Why not?
Why?
And
well, okay. Hang on. Wait. Okay, that's a great question. Okay.
Why not?
Why not?
I know.
Hang on. Wait, Deed. Let me respond.
No, I will explain. I will explain.
No. Let me respond. I'm going to respond to you. Okay. So this area, which is now called Israel, is the historic, ancestral,
I know.
native and indigenous homeland of Jewish
I
people.
know.
So why the hell should they go somewhere else?
I know the history from Pharaoh, Menaptah, Stone.
Okay.
I know it was a Jewish people there. I know the story very well. But the point is, if we could have a Jewish state after Second World War or First World War, we could have it anywhere. But the reason why we have the Israel state in Israel today, because of the religion, because of the history.
Okay,
We
pass.
can't-
Wait. Okay, so I want to ask you a quick question to be able to qualify.
I mean, it's
by the way,
kind of.
Jade, hang on. Look, this is the way it works in here. Sorry. I'm here to be able to moderate a conversation and to be able to have a conversation as well. But along the way, I might need to be able to interject, right, to be able to get clarity on what your position is and to be able to understand where you're coming from. Okay. So, fuck. Damn. All right. So, you believe that Israel has the right to exist, is that correct?
For sure.
Oh, great. Okay, we're off to a flying start. That's awesome. You believe that Jews have the right to be able to go back to their ancestral homeland, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And to be able to self-determine in that land?
Yes.
Okay. So, look, I mean, effectively, you'd find that 95% of people who are Jewish would actually identify as being Zionists. But you made it.
No, I mean, no. Let's me say about something. For example, the Native Americans. If they start to fight now to take the country America back from white Europeans, I will not support them.
Yeah.
I will say yes. Thousands of years you live it in America, but now there is a different situation. I wouldn't support this war. That's why I'm talking about. I know there was a Turkish Jewish state in Caucasus, like Khazar. I know there was some states in Balkan. You know, I mean, why we are fighting now? I would say just objectively, it's because of the religion, and I know what illegal settlements saying and doing. They are talking about.
You understand? Hang on for a second. You understand that Judaism is not a religion, don't you?
No, Judaism is a religion.
Okay, so maybe this is a really good opportunity to be able to inquire. So Judaism, you might think, and other people, and I understand the reason why people think that it's a religion, but it is not. It's listed as a religion by many different places, but it's not the same as Christianity. It's not the same as Islam. It's not the same as many other religions, but it actually has similarities to Hinduism because it is an ethno-religion. So the foundation of any type of conversation that surrounds Zionism has to, right, include the understanding that this is an ethno-religion, not just a religion. And its foundations, and I appreciate you actually understanding it and knowing about the history, right, is very important. But this is not just a religious movement, but it's an ethno and cultural issue as well. The people, Jews from Judea, which is where Jews come from, it means basically there is a religious component, there's an ethnic and a cultural component that is tied directly to the land. Its principles of the people are actually tied to the land itself. So you can't separate.
I would say it's just an ideology like socialism, socialism. But
it's like Hinduism.
I would say there's a radical Hindus also, right? I mean,
it's not radical.
There's some radical of like just in Moscow.
But it's not radical. But it's not radical. That's part of who the Jewish people are.
No, if you know the civil war in Sri Lanka, you will understand me what I mean with radical Hinduist people. I mean, there is some radical people for fight. I don't mind. I mean, we have to understand to look the perspective from the other side. Also, I know I I'm talking about with Arabs also. There is a war and there is a winner and a loser. But this is a different topic. But what I am saying,
Now you're going off the topic, Deed, okay? Because, look, I mean, I'm pausing you here again because I think it's really important for people who don't understand the relevance in differentiating between what a religion is and an ethno-religion is. You cannot, nobody, including yourself, nobody can actually separate what it is to be Jewish from being on the land and having the ethnic cultural practices along with the religious componentry. It's not, you can't separate it.
look, I'm trying to talk about like historic Zionism, and maybe you can answer me about Christian Zionism. Do you know anything about that?
It's I know a little bit about it. I'm certainly not. I wouldn't
Okay, like
say that I'm knowledgeable. I wouldn't even say that I'm knowledgeable about it, to be perfectly honest.
I know. I'm just trying to telling you Zionism. There is Jewish Zionism, but please try to read about Christian Zionism and Puritans.
Hey,
This
Yaakov.
is this evangelic.
I know about that subject.
Great.
Okay, this is
Yaakov. This is Deed, by the way.
I mean,
Deed,
yeah,
Yaakov. There you go.
this ideology under the Christian people is not a small group. It's a huge, big group from England to United States.
Yeah, a lot of Southern Baptists in the United States support that, and for
why they are supporting this is because of the religion, because they are waiting this Christian eschatology. They are waiting for Messiah, and there is they have to do something for it. And
I appreciate it. Well, I appreciate, Deed, hang on, pause for a second, okay? Deed, I appreciate what you're saying, even with the limited amount of knowledge I have on the topic. But again, I'm going to delineate for you, and please just take a breather to consider. Christianity, Christian Zionism is not Jewish Zionism.
I know.
So when you're talking about, okay, great. So I understand it's very, very different.
it's a cloak.
It looks very, very different, but they support each other, and they have a religion reasons. That's what I am talking. What I'm trying to talking about. They are not together. Of course, Christians are very different than Jews, but what they are believe and what they did, like end of the 18th century, for Israel, for Jewish Zionists, you have to put them together. You can't separate this from the history, because without supporting of some Christian Puritans, politicians, we couldn't have any Israel here today.
I know that like there are a lot of Christian states and countries that actually supported, the movement of the recreation of the Israel state, the Jewish state. I know that. In fact, the country where I'm from was one of the first signatories.
Yeah, that's why I'm talking. It's a holy war. Maybe not only between Jewish and Arabs, even also because they are watching from the Western countries, because they are supporting this ideology. Maybe it started just like because of the religion, like Puritans, Christian eschatology. They are waiting for Messiah after all Jewish come together again, But I'm trying to telling you that's why we could have any Jewish state anywhere in the world. But
no.
Why? Yes, you say no,
because,
but I say
no. Because you don't understand. You don't understand.
I understand this because of the history, but I told you, would you like to support Native Americans if they start to kill white Americans?
The answer, it's a very reductive question, to be honest. You're asking me something that's very simple and very simplistic. I would prefer it if you asked me questions that we could actually engage with that are reflective of the actual topic itself. You're not making sense. I'm trying to delineate towards, for you to say that, yes, I get that there are crossovers, right, between Christian or Catholic Christian Zionism and Jewish Zionism. But when we're talking about Zionism today, okay, in the world, and we're saying that Zionism is this and Zionism is that. We're not talking about Christian Zionism. We're talking directly about what it is to be a Zionist as a Jew. Okay, we're talking about Israel, the home of Jewish people. Okay, and it's not to be able to dismiss Christian Zionism.
That's why.
But this conversation is going in a direction where it just diminishes, what is contextual to the, vernacular today of what Zionism is. And again, look, I'm going to redirect this conversation, and you'll understand and appreciate why. Because, we can extrapolate, from this word and say, oh, well, it means this, that, and the other. At the end of the day, to the vast percentage of Jews, Zionism is just the two things. A, the desire to be able to go back to our fucking homeland, right? To be able to go back to where our ancestors are buried, to be able to go back to our indigenous homeland, and just to be able to live there and govern ourselves. That's pretty much it. That's it. And you know what? Anybody who tries to be able to demonize that has got a fucking problem, as far as I'm concerned, and as far as Jews around the world are concerned. And this word Zionism is being thrown around to be able to demonize and delegitimize what it is to be Jewish, and also for the state of Israel to be able to exist. That is the problem that I am coming across. That is the problem that Jews are experiencing around the world. And I'm going to be damned if I'm going to get people who are going to tell me otherwise en masse and say, well, Zionism is a dirty word. And I've seen you write this in the chat, okay? And I'm trying to hopefully have a respectful conversation with you about it. And that's where we're at this point. Deed?
I will say Jewish people needed Zionism as an ideology for independent state, yes. But I will also say Zionism is out of control now. Yes, it started legitimate.
But you're missing it. You're missing the point, Deed.
But
okay,
now
I mean,
it's polarized people, and I will just say now. I will just. Yeah,
Deed. Hang on.
We don't need.
I don't want to talk. I really don't want to talk over you and have that type of conversation. But do you hear what I'm saying? Like 90, whatever the percentage is. Okay, Yaakov might even know better than I do. But let's say 95% of Jews around the world identify as Zionists. Okay, what that means to them, okay, is that they recognize Israel as their homeland, and they recognize the need to be able to self-determine. And this has been something that's been part of our culture for over 2,000 years, ever since the year 70 AD, when Jews were forcibly removed, right, by the Roman Empire, okay, and taken as fucking slaves to Europe and kicked out into Middle Eastern countries, or not even countries back then, just regions within the Middle East. That's all it is. So that's, for me, that's the context of having that conversation about what it is to be a Zionist, right? It's part of our practice. It's part of the practice of what it is to be Jewish, and it has been for 2,000 years. Every single synagogue around the world points in the direction of Israel, not Ireland, not Iceland, not Canada, God forbid, but every single synagogue points in the direction of Israel. Why? Because that is our cultural, ethnic, and also religious homeland. Do we understand each other now? It's not political. Zionism is not something. The ideology of Zionism did not start in the late 18th century, despite what you might think or you may read.
I mean, let's talk honestly. You live in an Australian or in Israel is very important.
Because where my homeland?
Yeah, because
sure.
I know I have friends from Israel. I have been there many times. I know the secular Israeli people. Now we don't need Israel is there, is independent, is strong.
Yep.
We don't need Zionism like 150 years ago anymore.
Agree.
So, but I know the diaspora.
For Israel,
I know
for people in Israel. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for example, diaspora in Germany, Turkish diaspora in Germany, they are supporting Erdogan. They don't live in Turkey. They just come to Turkey for a holiday for 1 month, and they say, "What such a beautiful country." What the Jewish diaspora doing in outside of Israel, living in United States, born and grow up there, and they are supporting this ideology because they hang up on this ideology like 100 years ago. But now in modern Israel, we don't need this Zionism.
Okay, hang on. Okay, so pause there for a second. So in which case, you would be aligned with this notion that, Palestinian people who've got people who are identifying as Palestinians, okay, but are living outside of that region, really don't have the right to be able to call themselves Palestinian. Is that correct? Not that it's the same, but I just want to sort of put some light on.
No way. You can say Israeli, but Palestinian, they don't have ideology. They say they are Muslim. So
no, you're wrong. You're actually wrong. I'm sorry, I don't say that very often. But people who live outside of Israel, okay, identify themselves as being Palestinian. In fact, the organisation, what's it called?
But because it was maybe a country like 50 years ago, they had a passport. But Zionism wasn't a country, and they didn't have a passport.
Palestine was never a country, dude. I mean, it was a mandate. The mandate of Palestine is a British colony, effectively.
Yes, it's enough.
Yeah.
I mean, it's enough because
it's not a country. It was never a country. Just to
but Zionism is not a country or any landscape or
I agree. Zionism isn't a country.
But Palestine is the name of some region. Zionism
it's not just an ideology. I mean, it's reductive, but in some ways you're right, in some ways you're not. It's not just an ideology at all.
It's also legitimate. I mean, it's also legitimate.
Dude, listen, dude, okay, it's not a religion. Okay, Zionism is not a religion. It's not an ideology. It's an essential core tenet of what it is to be Jewish, effectively. It is, it's part of what the practice is outside of Israel, and that is to be able to return to Israel. It's in our practice. There are many holidays, festivals that Jews in the diaspora celebrate every single year and have done for millennia, that celebrate what it is to be Jewish based on the seasons, right, in Israel. It's not just an ideology. It's a core tenet and principle of what it is to be Jewish. So that's how we can't separate Judaism and Zionism, because it is part of what it is to be Jewish.
So I think different than you, but
you're not Jewish, man. Hang on, are you Jewish? Okay, so that's fine. You can have your opinion. That's fine. You can have your feeling about it, but you can't go around telling other people what something is if you really don't come from that group. Unless, I mean, it's like me going to somebody who identifies as Black American and say, well, it wasn't really slavery. You weren't really that oppressed. I mean, it's a bad analogy, and I really don't mean to minimise the experience Black Americans went through. But I'm just trying to look, for lack of a better analogy.
Rohan,
you're better off to be able to come in with questions. You're better off to be able to come in with questions rather than assertions.
Can we summarize the point, or what's I'm trying to
Yaakov.
Rohan, if some radical Islamist guy tell you the same, you are not Muslim, you don't have right to criticize me. What you do is the same now. I mean, I am not Jewish, but it doesn't mean that I can't say anything.
No, I'm not saying you can't say anything, but I'm giving you insight. I look, at the end of this conversation, you do what you want. You go in whatever direction you want, and that's entirely up to you. I'm giving you insight into what it is to be Jewish and having an understanding of what Zionism is. You're saying it's an ideology, and I can agree to it to an extent, but I can say at the same time, it's not an ideology. I can say it, hand on heart, promising you on the life of blah, blah, blah, that it's actually a core tenet of what it is to be Jewish and living in the diaspora. And it's just a word, right, that has been made up in more recent times. Zionism is still like part of what it is to be a Jew living in Israel. Yaakov, well, yeah, would you agree, disagree?
Yeah, I would agree. I was kind of interested in the point he was trying to make earlier about Christian Zionism. If you had any questions, because it's an interesting concept, and it's one that, on its face, seems to support the state of Israel, yet is meant to support it to a means that isn't the state of Israel in the end. Anybody has a right to criticize anything, but I think your criticism, or anyone's criticism, I won't focus on you because I haven't heard all of it, really gets more legitimacy the more you investigate and the more you understand the situations and the facts on the ground. That make sense?
I think you're directing the question towards Deed.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you repeat the last words, please?
I think it's fine to criticize. I think the criticism becomes more interesting and more relevant with the more experience one has with the situation on the ground. Going there, seeing it, looking at what's happening, really understanding it.
Deed was saying that he's actually been to Israel before.
That's great,
FYI.
wonderful.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Look, what happened is happened, and I am really objective on this theme. I am Muslim, I am Turkish, I am living in Germany, so I have a good knowledge about these topics. But on the other side, it's always a different side of the medallion, you know? What you are believe, Jacob, you can't say the religion played, the religion is very important in this war, in this conflict. You can't say no. My point is, it starts because of the religion.
It didn't start, like, Zionism was not a religious movement. It was a political, ethnic movement. As much as people want to ascribe it to the religion, and it's hard to be a Zionist if you're not Jewish, but it wasn't a religious movement. It was very political in nature. I mean, the creators of the movement were, I wouldn't call them atheists, but they were ethnically Jewish. They, their parents and their grandparents, and they come from Jewish families, but they weren't practicing Jews. They, it wasn't a religious thing for them. It was, we need a home for our people. But it was a tribal thing. It's always been the 12 tribes. That's an ethnic group. Judaism is just the religion of this ethnic group.
Yeah, what I was saying and explaining to Deed is, I'll try and just encapsulate it really briefly. Zionism is just a word. It was created in recent times to be able to create a definition for a particular movement, which is a political movement called political Zionism. But Zionism as a concept, right, has been something that Jews have had and practiced for close to 2,000 years, since even probably before 70 AD, when the Jews were kicked out.
Yeah,
and that's what I'm saying. Like, well, I mean, that's pretty much the principle of Zionism as it is. Just to be able to return back home and to be able to self-determine. That is the core of what I understand Zionism is, after many, many, many discussions about it.
It's in daily prayers, and it's in the Passover Haggadah next year in Jerusalem. I mean, it's been there for many, many, many, many years, well before 48. Hundreds, if not thousands of years. It's been a key concept since the compulsory.
Right. So when I hear like, I'm not I'm not anti-Semitic, I'm just anti-Zionism. For me, the two are intrinsically connected. Zionism is actually a core part of what it is to be Jewish. It can't be separated.
Right.
It seems like Deed wants to disagree. That's okay. So cat balls.
Hey, Rod.
What up?
Not much. Not much.
Got anything better than that? Come on.
No, I mean, at the moment, no, not really. Just listening. It's entertaining.
Cool. What's this? The Voyager. Or the Voyeur. I can't work out.
I was just looking at that too. Right.
Are you the Voyeur or the Voyager?
I was a Voyager.
No, Voyager. I mean, you can read, right?
Yeah. Didn't have my glasses on. Now I see you're definitely a Voyager.
Okay. I don't know what is the need for you all to spread terrorism to people. I mean, Zionist is basically a terrorist entity only. It's same like how Muslim extremists are there,
So,
Hindu extremists are there.
I can't understand what you're saying. Honestly,
I'm
can't
saying
understand what you're
Zionism.
saying.
I'm saying Zionism is extremism. It's more like terrorism. And if you don't understand it, then I cannot do anything. You're just wanting people to learn about terrorism and spread it.
So tell me, your accent is familiar. Whereabouts are you from?
I'm from India.
You're from India, not Pakistan?
I'm from India, dude. And that I'm from south of India. Probably you never learn geography, I think. That's why you compare people when they speak with this accent to some other country or weird racism.
Oh, okay. Because no, I couldn't tell. I find it difficult to be able to differentiate between an Indian accent and a Pakistani accent. But the sentiment that I'm hearing from you in terms of demonizing Zionism, I find more so coming out of Pakistan than I do from India in conversations. That's all.
It's coming from all over the world, not only Pakistan, most of the world, even from America it is coming from. And that even Jewish people are saying that it's a terroristic ideology. I mean, go figure. And even your own people are saying, and you're just throwing about, like, this is good, what, killing people, stealing their homes, taking their land. You live about 3,000 years ago. 3,000 is when, and 100, 200, and 300 is when.
Yeah,
So
okay.
you're going way back when, and you're just coming claiming.
I'm getting it.
Illegally coming to the.
I can't understand.
Illegally coming and
I
taking
can
the people
understand.
and saying that.
Hang on. Voya, I muted you, not because I'm in the process of disagreeing with you, but it's just that your microphone makes it, and maybe your accent as well, makes it difficult to be able to hear what you're saying exactly. Maybe just slow it down and maybe if you can get it
or something.
It
Sounds like he's
sounds
taking
really
a
weird.
shit or something, and he's trying to be on Clubhouse.
Oh, come on.
So just shut up, like, we don't go to do racism.
Okay, let's not be. Let's not.
No, you're so sick-minded that you'll put terrorism in your family.
Hang on. Okay,
Hold
so
on.
hang on. Wait a second. Pause for a second. Okay, I just want to make sure we've got some ground rules sorted out here really quickly. Okay, if a moderator is speaking, it's just look, I get that you've got a pink ticket, which means you're not a member of the House, so you probably don't know. Yeah, we've got a one mic policy here in this House. Kelly, stop it. Yeah, we've got a one mic policy. If a moderator needs to be able to just chime in, it's not a good idea to be able to talk over a moderator, whether it's me or Yakov or John or Jenny, or you're very welcome to talk over Kelly at any point in time. She doesn't mind whatsoever. Yeah, just if we could just have one mic at a time. And the Voyager, I'm really finding it difficult to be able to hear you. And yeah, if we can just keep the points really short. I hear you say that Zionism is extremism, and I think that's really interesting. I take it that you may be.
Can I respond to that, Voyager?
Yeah.
Voyager, I want to read you something from the Declaration of Independence of Israel, and you tell me if this is extremism. This is what there was 2 points. One was to countries outside of Israel, and one was to Arabs living inside the state of Israel. I'll read the one pointing outside. We extend our hand to all neighboring states and their peoples in an offer of peace and good neighborliness, and appeal to them to establish bonds of cooperation and mutual help with the sovereign Jewish people settled in its own land. The state of Israel is prepared to do its share in a common effort for the advancement of the entire Middle East. Is that extremism? Founding document of the country.
I would basically say it is like what Jewish people didn't ask for a state, Zionist people didn't ask for a state. They put in agreement with British, and while British was leaving, they gave them a piece of land. They should have stuck with that piece of land itself. Instead, British people created issues and
Hang on for a second.
Voyager. Okay, look at
and many people have
Hang on, wait a second. Okay, Voyager, the rules in here apply to everybody, including yourself. Yaakov was trying to talk, so when he's trying to talk, please just mute up.
We were prepared to stick to it. See the blue area in the map on my PTR?
I can see.
Okay. The blue area goes down to Eilat, which is all desert, essentially. This is the central part of Israel. And it goes up a little bit to the north, the blue area, but that's essentially the blue area. That was the partition, the light orange or yellow, depending on your point of eyesight. That was where Arabs lived. The state of Israel said, we're fine. We want the blue area. We're accepting of the partition. This was based on census information of where Jews primarily lived, where they were the majority in the blue area. Not to say that there weren't some Arabs there, there clearly were, but this is where the majority of Jewish people were. We said, fine, we'll take it, right? The Arabs said, no, we want 100% of it, and invaded, right? Israel only got bigger, only got to the size that it was because of an invasion. We were, as you said, we were prepared. You hinted at it. We were prepared to accept that blue area, which is, and it's very indefensible blue area. You see how it has 2 choke points, very indefensible borders, but we accepted it. So we are not ones to say, oh, we want to just be extremists. That was the Declaration of Independence and the acceptance of those really onerous borders and very small territory compared to the entire mandate. Now, mind you, 77% of it was east of the Jordan River. That became Jordan in 1946. This is the division of land that excluded Jordan. So west of the Jordan River. I don't see how that's extremism to accept something and then to be invaded.
I'll tell you why it's extremism. I mean, you were not invaded, you only created the issue first, because according to United Nations, it states here that Jewish militia launched attacks against Palestinian villages, forcing thousands to flee. So you all created the situation. I mean, the Zionists created the situation, and then creates narrative on that saying that the others will create a situation.
Come on, Raj. Can I ask you a question?
Yes,
Hey, Andrew, Andrew, hang on, wait a second, Andrew, just FYI, we've got a 1 mic policy here, okay, so just wait for him to finish. If you want to chime in, absolutely. But the Voyager, yeah, did you want to complete, or are you landing?
I just said my point.
Yeah, okay. Well, I don't know whether you heard what Yaakov was saying, but I think the description in itself sort of speaks to a little bit of sanity in terms of being open and accepting towards other people. It's not extremism, but I'm curious to know what your thoughts of the the Arabization and Muslim influence over the entire region, you know, from the 6th century onwards. Do you think that was fair as well?
At that period of time, everyone was occupying everyone, even if you take my country, India.
So that was okay.
No, it was happening. It was happening. Like, it happened all around the world. Everyone was conquering everyone.
The Voyager, you don't, I mean, it's okay, Arabizations of the region, you know, it's normal. Look at the United States, look at the Australian. Where is the indigenous people now? I mean, this question, should all indigenous people fight for their land, just like Israelis did for Israel? That makes no sense anymore. I mean, you can't come and say argument like this, yeah, we lived 1,000 years ago there. Yeah, so, I mean, the world changing in Canada, in the United States, in some European countries, there is no the same of the people like 1,000 years ago. I mean, to argumentation for this, it make no sense anymore. Yeah, we lived 2,000 years ago there. Okay, so let's fight the Catalans in Barcelona against the Spanish people. I mean, if Catalans do this, because Catalans was before Spanish people there in Barcelona, they will a terrorist group, because they had this ETA. If they fight for their land in Barcelona for an independent Catalan country, they punish them. The Spanish people and European Union, they punish them as a terrorist group. I mean, you can't argument with this, believe it there 1,000 years ago, you know? So, and then all indigenous people should fight now. In Australian, Aborigines should try to kill now white Europeans, and you will support them? Really? I mean, let's say like a Zionism, they make a political ideological group like Aboriginism, and they start to make the weapon take in the hand, and they start to kill all white Europeans in Australia. Is it right? I think no. That's why I'm criticizing Zionism with this ideology. It's not right.
Dede, can I respond to you?
For sure. By the way, I'm sorry, I'm not against Israel, because what happened is happened, but I still can criticize this. How this happened and why this happened there, you know? We had a lot of possibility after Second World War somewhere else to create an Israel state.
So, I'm just curious, because, you know, ich kann es auch auf Deutsch sagen, denn ich kann sehen, dass Sie auf Deutschland sind. But I can also say it in German, because I can see that you're from Germany. But, you know, like, Turkey is a secular country constitutionally. And did you know that Turkey, you guys had a prime minister named İnönü? Or I think after Ataturk was İnönü, right? And İnönü, did you know that İnönü was an extremely strong supporter of Israel? You know, from the beginning?
I know. Turkey is one of the Muslim countries who accept Israel as an independent state.
From the very beginning, İnönü always was before India was on Israel's side, İnönü was on Turkey, and İnönü were on Israel's side. Nowadays, the situation has flipped, where India is on Israel's side and Turkey is not. But did you know that that was the case? That in Turkey, it used to be that you guys were nicer to Israel and we were mean to Israel. In India, and now we are the ones who are nice to Israel. You were the ones who are mean.
Yeah, for some political reasons, for sure. I know why Indians support Israel against Pakistan or China.
But I don't I'm trying to explain because I'm also Indian. Now I feel like I need to debunk what Kamalraj, आप कुछ मेरी बात सुन रहे हैं? ये जो मेरी चीज समझ आती? Like I don't know how to say it.
But, maybe say it in English because the vast percentage of people here are speaking English.
So Kamalraj, why do you think that India only why are you spreading lies that India only supports Israel for political reasons? This is 100% absolutely false. Indians have actually gotten used to Israelis because Israelis actually come and travel to India all the time. Do you know what parts of India they go to? You may know because you're lying. They go to Goa, the beaches were near Mumbai, and Israelis are very commonly found near Goa, doing that trance music, which is exactly what they were doing on October 7th. They were listening to literally Goa trance, Goa as in India, and they're just doing their trance music, and unfortunately, and that's exactly what got them into trouble, apparently, because Hamas is a terrorist organization, because of exactly what you're talking about. People like you're spreading lies, and then they also go to Dharamsala. Dharamsala is where the Dalai Lama lives. Dharamsala in Anglo-English, Anglo-Indian way of speaking, Dharamsala. So Israelis are so commonly found around just traveling in India that there's just a deep relationship. It has nothing to do with ideology. So, I mean, I now have to ask the Voyager, why are you spreading lies?
What lies did I spread? I mean, you said a point that India was then backing Israel. That is not that's not a true information.
I did not say that. I said that India did not support Israel before. In 1948, India supported Palestine. Now India supports Israel.
I tell you why now they support, because the current
No, you are saying why. You are spreading lies. You can't say that.
Wait, listen. I'll give you a response of why the current Indian government supports
Hindi. What state are you from? What state are you from in India? What state are you from? Andhra Pradesh? You sound like you're from Andhra Pradesh. Telangana?
I am from Tamil Nadu.
Okay, even worse.
We just first learn to listen. Okay, why the current government supports Israel is because the current government is receiving a lot of criticism, and so they want to attack people, abuse people, even harass, spy on them. Also, so they're getting Pegasus software from the Israeli government that they're supporting. This is a well-known issue. Like, seriously, grow up, learn.
So did you know that Tamil Nadu is a terrorist country because you guys literally bombed people in India? You bombed several prime ministers. You bombed the prime minister of India, the LTTE. You're a Tamil tiger. Are you a terrorist Tamil? Are you against the government of Sri Lanka?
I'm not LTTE, dude. I'm just a Tamilian. I don't adhere to any groups. Okay.
Andrew, is it safe to say this is a personal opinion? I mean, we're getting wrapped up. This is a personal opinion. The official policy of the Indian government is support of Israel in actions and in what they do, and a lack of criticism. So just take it as his personal opinion, and it doesn't reflect the Indian government.
Okay, now
the vast majority of Indians.
It's just a reality that you will consider as a personal opinion. I don't know what it can do with you, bozos. Reality, face with the facts. Don't hide behind the facts.
No, I'm looking at the facts on the ground. Is what the Indian government does. The Indian government does. Look, there may be some people who agree with you, but they elected a government that, and recently, 650 million, the largest vote in history, largest Democratic vote. I think it was 6 weeks in April, sometime around April. The government that was elected stands behind the state of Israel. So you can have all your personal views, but you have to look at the fact on the ground, what it does, how it votes in the UN, how it supports commerce, all the things that it does are not anti-Israeli. Okay, so I appreciate your point of view, but it's not representative of the Indian government or the vast majority of Indians. Sure, there's lots of people who get pissed off. I get it.
Marco, come and live in India, you will know the reality without sporting nonsense, because some guy was living in the foreign country said so.
No, I have about
no, if you live in India, you know the reality of how Indians are suffering from this current government. Taxes upon taxes, then there's violence going on in a particular state, then minorities are getting killed. countless things are there. If you don't know about it, then
I know a lot about it through my friends in India and by observing the facts on the ground.
those are Indians. And the rest of Indian descent living in the other Indian background living in
So now
other
you know
countries.
who my
That's
friends
what I
are.
mean.
You know, now you know who my friends are and where they live. This is wonderful. Do not go down that route, okay? You will lose, okay?
Not count on that. Then when Andrew went, when Andrew was like pinpointing and calling people terrorists, like literally, like I'm just calling out what it is what it is. If I cannot face the facts and I just want to lie, spread terrorism, say killing of people, okay, raping
This is
people,
the
okay,
room.
I will keep right.
Be quiet. This is the room based on fact, okay? You can
No, that's what
have an opinion. We're not gonna get right down on your opinion.
People kill people to their homes. What else is there? And that is saying that is a good thing. I mean, whom you're trying to brainwash?
Yeah, look, you can advocate for your position all day. We're not saying you can't.
World is
It doesn't
advocating
represent the official
World is
policy.
advocating for my question, many the similar question. Because I needs to go and
Let's move on to somebody else. You've stated your case, and repeating it doesn't make any sense, okay? Anyone else want to talk?
I would like to address Day Day.
Okay.
Who? Is he your daddy?
Yes, he is my daddy. Biliyorum, as they say in Turkish. I know he's my daddy, Biliyorum. No, that's kidding. So, can you explain why is it only in the last 20 years in Turkey that Turkey has become a little bit more anti-Israel due to Erdogan, or was it always that way? And I'm not asking as an enemy. Let me explain to you. I'm asking as a friend. I have had sweet mates from Azerbaijan. And in Azerbaijan, they really like Turkey in some ways, but they will say there are specific ways they don't like, and I can go on about them. But I actually like Turkey as a people. I like the people from Azerbaijan. I'm confused about the government of Turkey.
Yeah, sure. It's just Erdogan's political decision to be against Israel because you have to understand him. He want to make the region, the Middle East, better place for Turkey. He tried this because of the Arabic, civil wars in several countries.